I want to change now to pregnancy center because I know we've also had some questions on that. In your statement on the budget, you went out of your way to say that you've taken action with what President Biden to expand access to reproductive health care. To quote, the Biden-Harris administration has taken action to protect and expand access to reproductive health care in every way possible. And HHS is committed to promoting access to reproduction health care. But we've talked about the CPCs, and yet I'm confused. If it is specifically a service that the pregnancy centers are not providing, can you tell me what that service is?
I'm sorry, what service are we talking about?
For crisis pregnancy centers. They have been targeted within the excerpt from the proposed rules that states that provide funding for these types of programs, including through entities sometimes known as crisis pregnancy centers, basically have a burden to prove that they meet TANF's purpose. You've called them out.
And are you speaking about the TANF program, or what program are you speaking about?
I'm speaking about the funding for TANF and your restrictions on crisis pregnancy centers. But by the way, specifically it says that they have to prevent or reduce out-of-wedlock pregnancies, but you've already identified TANF as being fine for Planned Parenthood, which 95% of their services are abortion, which obviously to have an abortion, you're not preventing a pregnancy, you're preventing a birth. So why are you limiting TANF dollars from going to crisis pregnancy centers when you claim that you actually want to have all this freedom of services available for women who find themselves in this position?
And I know time has expired, so I'll try to respond quickly to the question. We restrict services only based on the qualifications of the entity to provide the services that are required by law. If the entity
what does that mean? What
if
services?
I could finish my answer, that would be really helpful.
You're talking in generalities, and I'd like you to be more specific.
So
because all day we've heard you talk in generalities. I'm asking you to be more specific. What specific services are not offered by the crisis pregnancy centers that you've targeted them in your proposed rule?
May I answer your question?
I would hope that you would answer the question, not just give me generalities, please.
So we have an obligation to make sure that when we send out a taxpayer dollar, it is being used for the purposes required by the law.
So again, you're not answering the question.
I am getting to the answer,
okay.
And what I'm saying is, if an entity is restricted from accessing those dollars, is because they're not providing the services that are required by law. We don't identify any particular entity as not eligible.
You identify in the excerpt from your proposed rule. You're identifying it.
If they do not provide the services that are required by the program.
What services are they not? That's the question I've asked you now 4 times.
The services under TANF. And TANF is to help prevent
Thank you very much,
pregnancy
Mr. Chairman. I yield back.